Grey Gardens, the iconic estate in East Hampton, boasts a rich and tumultuous history that reflects both the allure and the challenges of life in one of the world's most exclusive areas. Purchased in 1895, the property evolved into a stunning home characterized by its striking gardens, which were enhanced in the early 1900s by Anna Gilman Hill, who imported ornate concrete walls from Spain. These walls, coupled with the mist from the nearby sea, gave the estate its evocative name. In 1923, the home became the residence of Edith Bouvier Beale and her family. Edith, an aunt to Jackie Onassis Kennedy and Lee Radziwill, brought a touch of glamour to Grey Gardens, but her family's fortunes soon dwindled. Over time, the estate fell into disrepair, becoming a shadow of its former glory, haunted by financial troubles and the struggles of its residents, Big Edie and Little Edie Beale. As the house deteriorated, it became infamous not just for its physical state but also for the eccentric lives of its occupants. Cats and raccoons roamed freely, creating an atmosphere of neglect and abandonment that captured the attention of filmmakers. The 1975 documentary by Albert and David Maysles unveiled the poignant and often heartbreaking reality of the Beales, immortalizing their story and drawing in audiences captivated by their unique lives. After Big Edie's passing in 1977, the estate remained a relic of its past, but the spirit of Big Edie is said to linger within its walls, keeping watch over the home she loved. This belief is echoed by Sally Quinn, a prominent author and journalist who purchased Grey Gardens from Little Edie in 1979. Sally has reported numerous ghostly encounters, including inexplicable sounds and fleeting glimpses of a woman in a flowing dress. Sally's experiences led her to delve deeper into the estate's history, unearthing the rich tapestry of lives that had graced its rooms. She became an advocate for preserving the legacy of Grey Gardens, recognizing it not just as a haunted house, but as a cultural landmark steeped in stories of love, loss, and resilience. The estate's charm continued to draw visitors, each eager to experience its haunting beauty and perhaps catch a glimpse of its spectral inhabitants. As the years passed, Grey Gardens evolved into a symbol of the interplay between past and present, where the spirits of those who lived there lingered among the memories, embodying both the joy and sorrow of a bygone era. Now, as a new generation of admirers arrives, they come not just to marvel at the grandeur of the estate, but also to listen to the whispers of its past, each story a reminder that within the walls of Grey Gardens, history is never truly gone. It is simply waiting to be rediscovered. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. As the sun began to set over East Hampton, casting a golden hue across the grounds of Grey Gardens, the estate took on a magical quality. Visitors strolled through the overgrown gardens, captivated by the lush greenery and the faint scent of wildflowers mingling with the sea air. Each corner of the property seemed to hold echoes of laughter and whispers of secrets long kept. Sally Quinn often found herself drawn to the gardens, where she felt a profound connection to the spirit of Big Edie. On many occasions, she would sit on a weathered bench beneath a sprawling oak tree, reflecting on the lives that had unfolded within the estate's walls. It was during one of these quiet moments that she felt a gentle breeze sweep past her, as if someone was sitting beside her, urging her to listen. Determined to honor the legacy of the Beales, Sally decided to host a series of gatherings at Grey Gardens, inviting writers, artists, and historians to come together and share their stories. She envisioned a space where creativity could flourish, much like the wild gardens that surrounded them, while also preserving the spirit of the home. As word spread about these gatherings, attendees began to arrive, each carrying their own stories and connections to Grey Gardens. Among them was a local historian, intrigued by the estate's past, who brought along rare photographs and documents that shed new light on the Beale family's history. One evening, during a particularly vibrant gathering, the group gathered in the living room, surrounded by fading portraits of the Beale family. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as stories were shared of the glamorous parties that once filled the house with laughter, of the struggles the family faced, and of the love that endured despite the hardships. Suddenly, a chill filled the air, and the lights flickered momentarily. The guests exchanged nervous glances, but Sally smiled, feeling an undeniable presence. "I think Big Edie is joining us," she said, her voice filled with warmth. She loved company. Just then, the sound of a piano could be heard drifting from the adjacent room. It was an old, grand piano, long untouched, but now it played a soft, haunting melody. Sally's heart raced. The music was beautiful, nostalgic, a piece she recognized from the Beale family's past. A song that Big Edie had loved. The guests, entranced, turned toward the sound. Sally stood up and moved toward the door, drawn by the melody. As she entered the room, she felt a warm presence beside her, like an arm brushing against her own. The piano keys danced with life, each note resonating with a story untold. As she approached the piano, she glimpsed a figure seated at the bench, a woman dressed in a flowing gown, her back to Sally. Big Edie, she breathed, her heart swelling with emotion. The woman turned slightly, and Sally could see the familiar features, the soft smile that had graced so many photographs. "Thank you for bringing everyone together," Big Edie said softly, her voice echoing like a whisper in the breeze. "This house has waited so long for voices to fill its rooms again." Sally felt tears in her eyes as she absorbed the moment. "We're here to honor you and your family, to share your stories." Big Edie nodded, her expression a blend of gratitude and longing. "There is so much joy to be remembered, and so much love that still lingers. But there are also shadows, and they must be faced." Just then, a gust of wind rattled the windows, and the lights flickered again. Sally felt the room shift, as if a weight had descended. The guests looked around, sensing a change in the atmosphere. "What do you mean?" Sally asked, her voice steady but filled with concern. "There are truths buried in this house, secrets that need to be revealed," Big Edie replied, her form beginning to fade. "Help them see, help them understand." With that, the piano fell silent, and the room was engulfed in darkness. Sally blinked, trying to process what had just happened. The guests whispered among themselves, their expressions a mix of awe and confusion. The historian stepped forward, holding a stack of old letters he had brought with him. "I found correspondence that may shed light on the family's struggles. Letters that speak of heartbreak, of dreams unfulfilled." Sally felt a thrill of recognition. Perhaps this was the catalyst they needed to unearth the stories that had been buried alongside the estate. "Let's read them," she suggested, her voice firm with purpose. "Let's honor Big Edie and Little Edie by bringing their truths to light." As they gathered in a circle, the historian began to read aloud, the letters revealing intimate details of the Beales' lives, their aspirations, their disappointments, and the resilience that had kept them going despite overwhelming odds. With each letter, the air shifted, and the shadows that had lingered began to dissolve. Sally felt the spirits of the Beales gathering around them, listening intently as their stories unfolded once more. The room filled with a sense of release, as if the weight of the past was being lifted, replaced by a newfound understanding and compassion. As the final letter was read, Sally looked around at the group, their faces illuminated by the warmth of connection. "We've done something important tonight," she said, feeling the presence of Big Edie and Little Edie in the room. "We've given voice to their stories, and in doing so, we've helped them find peace." Outside, the first stars began to twinkle in the night sky, casting a gentle glow over Grey Gardens. Sally knew that the estate's legacy would continue, not just as a haunted house or a relic of the past, but as a living testament to love, resilience, and the power of storytelling. And as long as there were stories to share, Grey Gardens would never truly be forgotten. As the gathering concluded and the last letter was set aside, a palpable sense of calm enveloped the room. The guests shared soft smiles, their hearts touched by the journey they had embarked on together. Sally felt a deep connection to the Beales, as if they were now part of a larger narrative woven into the fabric of Grey Gardens. But as the evening wore on, a subtle shift began to stir in the atmosphere. The flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the walls, and Sally noticed a chill creeping back in. It was as if the house itself was awakening, revealing layers of history still waiting to be uncovered. Curious, she suggested a late-night walk through the estate, inviting everyone to explore the gardens and the hidden corners of Grey Gardens. The group, eager for adventure, followed her outside, the cool night air refreshing against their skin. As they wandered through the overgrown pathways, the moonlight illuminated the remnants of the once grand garden. Sally couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, a familiar presence lingering nearby. "Big Edie," she whispered to the night, feeling a spark of connection. The group arrived at a secluded section of the garden where the wildflowers grew thickly, obscuring an old stone bench. Sally remembered stories of Big Edie and Little Edie sitting there, sharing dreams and laughter. She motioned for everyone to gather around. "Let's share our thoughts about what we've learned tonight," she suggested. "What stories do we carry forward?" One guest, a local artist, spoke first. "I feel inspired to create a piece that honors the Beale's resilience. Their lives were filled with beauty amidst chaos, and that deserves to be celebrated." Another guest, a historian, added, "I believe there are still records to uncover. Perhaps there are more letters, photographs, or even neighbors who remember the Beales. We can create a comprehensive history that gives them the respect they deserve." As they shared their aspirations, the air began to shift again. Sally glanced toward the edge of the garden and noticed a figure standing near the tree line, cloaked in shadows. Heart racing, she turned to the group. "Did anyone else see that?" Eyes widened. They turned in unison, scanning the darkened area. The figure seemed to shimmer, flickering like an old film reel caught between frames. It was a woman, her silhouette unmistakable, adorned in a flowing gown, the very image of Big Edie. With a mixture of awe and apprehension, Sally stepped forward, her voice steady. "What do you need us to know?" The figure beckoned gently, her expression softening. As Sally approached, the whispers of the past grew louder, swirling around her like a soft breeze. The other guests gathered close, their breaths held in anticipation. "Continue," Big Edie's voice floated through the air, ethereal yet powerful. "Uncover the truths. The love that binds us can heal what is broken." Feeling a surge of determination, Sally nodded. "We will. We'll make sure your story is told, that your love endures through time." In that moment, the figure smiled, a look of gratitude radiating from her. The night seemed to brighten, and the garden around them hummed with energy. "Remember," she said, her voice intertwining with the rustling leaves, "love is the greatest legacy." With that, Big Edie began to fade, but not before imparting one last feeling, a warmth that enveloped Sally and the group, filling them with purpose. As the figure vanished completely, Sally turned back to her companions, excitement bubbling within her. "We have to dig deeper. Let's organize a search for more artifacts, more stories. There's so much more to uncover." Energized by the evening's revelations, they brainstormed ideas for their next steps, deciding to collaborate on a community project that would not only honor the Beales but also revive the spirit of Grey Gardens. They envisioned art exhibits, historical talks, and collaborative workshops that would invite locals and visitors alike to participate in preserving the estate's legacy. As they made their plans, a sense of camaraderie blossomed among them. They were no longer just visitors. They were custodians of a story that needed to be told. The moon hung high above them, bathing the garden in silver light, and Sally felt an unshakable connection to Grey Gardens and its inhabitants. She knew that the journey they had started was only just beginning, and that together, they would breathe new life into the stories of the Beales. As the group dispersed for the night, Sally lingered a moment longer, looking back at the sprawling estate. She could feel Big Edie's spirit lingering in the air, guiding her, reminding her of the love that had once filled those walls. With newfound resolve, she whispered, "Thank you, Big Edie. We won't let your story fade." As she turned to leave, a soft breeze brushed against her cheek, carrying with it the faintest sound of laughter, like a distant echo of joy, promising that the spirit of Grey Gardens would forever thrive through the stories yet to be shared. The next morning, the sun rose over Grey Gardens, casting a warm glow across the estate. Sally awoke with a renewed sense of purpose, her mind buzzing with ideas from the night before. She quickly jotted down notes, outlining the plans for the community project. She envisioned a living tribute to the Beales that would weave their story into the fabric of East Hampton. After breakfast, She gathered the guests who had stayed over, excited to share her vision. "Let's form a committee to begin organizing everything," she proposed. "We can reach out to local artists, historians, and even the community for contributions." The group buzzed with enthusiasm, each member eager to pitch in. The local historian offered to connect Sally with archives that housed old records about the Beale family, while the artist spoke of creating murals that would depict significant moments in their lives. Another guest, a filmmaker, suggested documenting their progress and experiences, ensuring that the story of Grey Gardens would be captured for future generations. As they brainstormed, a palpable sense of connection filled the room, binding them together in their shared mission. Sally could feel the spirit of Big Edie hovering nearby, encouraging their efforts. It was as if the estate itself was awakening, breathing life into their plans. Once they solidified their roles, the group set off to visit local archives and interview residents who might remember the Beales. Sally felt a thrill of anticipation as they ventured into the town, each new conversation promising to unveil another layer of the Beale family's story. Their first stop was the East Hampton Historical Society, where they met an elderly librarian who had fond memories of the Beales from her childhood. They were quite the characters, she reminisced, her eyes sparkling with nostalgia. Big Edie would host the most lavish garden parties. Despite the rumors swirling about their home, Sally leaned in captivated. "Do you have any photographs or records from that time?" With a smile, the librarian led them to a back room filled with archives. As they sifted through old photographs, newspaper clippings, and handwritten notes, Sally felt as though she was stepping back in time. Each artifact told a story, each moment frozen in history waiting to be uncovered. As they dug deeper, the team discovered details about the Beales that added complexity to their narrative. Big Edie's early life, her dreams of becoming a singer, and little Edie's ambitions in the world of fashion. The contrasting aspirations and eventual realities painted a vivid picture of their lives. During their visit, they also uncovered rumors of the challenges the Beales faced. The letters hinted at friendships strained by financial troubles and whispers of scandal that surrounded them. The once glamorous parties were shadowed by the burden of maintaining the estate, and Sally began to see the Beales not just as eccentric figures but as real women grappling with their circumstances. With this newfound knowledge, the group returned to Grey Gardens, where they gathered to share their findings. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Sally felt an electric energy in the air. It was time to weave together the stories they had gathered. "Let's create a timeline of the Beales' lives," Sally suggested. "We can map out their triumphs and struggles, showing the complexity of their experiences." The group rallied, brainstorming ideas for an interactive exhibit that would allow visitors to engage with the Beales' story. They discussed incorporating art installations, written narratives, and even performances that would bring the estate's history to life. Just as they were deep in conversation, a soft rustling sound caught Sally's attention. She looked toward the garden, where she spotted a movement out of the corner of her eye. It was a flicker of white fabric, a glimpse of a figure slipping behind the overgrown hedges. Heart pounding with excitement, Sally exchanged glances with the others. "Did anyone else see that?" The group nodded, intrigued. "Let's check it out," someone suggested, and they all rose, curiosity propelling them toward the garden. As they approached the area where the figure had disappeared, the air grew still, a heavy anticipation hanging around them. Sally led the way, her heart racing as she pushed through the tall grass. Just as they reached the edge of the hedges, they found themselves in a small clearing filled with wildflowers, the scent intoxicating. In the center stood an old stone fountain, partially obscured by vines. Sally knelt down to examine it, brushing away the leaves and dirt. As she did, she uncovered a series of engraved tiles surrounding the fountain. They depicted scenes from nature: birds, flowers, and trees alongside symbols that resembled family crests. "This is beautiful," one of the guests remarked, kneeling beside her. "I've never seen anything like it here before." Sally's fingers traced the engravings, and she felt a wave of warmth wash over her. It was as if the fountain was an emblem of the Beales' connection to the land, a testament to their enduring presence. "We need to include this in our project," she said, her excitement bubbling over. It can be a focal point for our exhibit, a reminder of the beauty that still exists within Grey Gardens. Suddenly, a soft sound echoed through the clearing, a gentle laugh that seemed to drift on the breeze. The guests exchanged puzzled looks, and Sally felt her skin prickling with a familiar sensation. "Big Edie?" she whispered, half expecting an answer. The laughter faded, replaced by a soothing silence, but Sally could almost sense the spirit of Big Edie watching over them, encouraging their discoveries. They gathered around the fountain, united in purpose, and began brainstorming how to incorporate it into their plans. As twilight descended, the group returned to the main house, energized by their findings. Sally couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of uncovering even more secrets hidden within Grey Gardens. With the estate's stories now intertwined with their own, they were poised to create something truly special, a legacy that would honor the Beales, while also breathing new life into a home that had long been silent. With each passing day, Sally felt the presence of the Beales grow stronger, guiding her as she led the group toward the next chapter of Grey Gardens' story. And as they continued to explore and uncover, Sally knew they were not just revealing the past. They were also forging a new future for the estate, one filled with hope, creativity, and the enduring spirit of love. As the weeks went by, Sally and the group transformed Grey Gardens into a vibrant hub of creativity and storytelling. They organized an exhibit featuring the newly discovered artifacts, along with interactive displays that captured the essence of the Beales' lives. Local artists painted murals inspired by the estate's rich history, and community members shared their own stories of resilience and love. On the day of the grand opening, the gardens bloomed with visitors, laughter mingling with the scent of flowers. As they wandered through the exhibits, Sally felt Big Edie's presence stronger than ever, as if she were smiling down on them, proud of the revival taking place. In a heartfelt speech, Sally thanked everyone for their contributions and shared how the Beales' story had inspired not only the community but also her own journey. "We've honored their past, but we've also created a new narrative for Grey Gardens, one that celebrates love, creativity, and connection." As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the estate, the fountains sparkled with life, and the laughter of children echoed through the gardens. Sally knew that the spirit of Grey Gardens would continue to thrive, bridging the past and the present. In that moment, she realized they had not just revived a house. They had created a living testament to the enduring power of storytelling and the importance of remembering those who came before. The legacy of the Beales would never fade. It would live on in the hearts of all who visited, forever entwined with the beauty of Grey Gardens. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.